Okay, part three. Um, the problem I had getting my browser docked over here to the right side is my screen recording software wasn't allowing it to work right. So I'm not going to move it now. I got it in place. Okay. Before I start moving into this, what we're going to work on, I want to address just a little bit about BIM. Okay, Building Information Modeling. And with Revit, what you're doing is you're creating a digital prototype for building construction. Okay, you're modeling uh, walls, floors, roofs, ceilings, all of these things exactly like they would be constructed in real life. And then when you make a change in something, it changes it everywhere in the project. So let's say, for example, we've got this little building here that I've got shown. And I've got drawings created and I've got dimensions and notes and schedules and the whole deal. And then the owner comes back and says, wait, you've got a 36 by 84 door. That needs to be a 36 by 80 door. Okay, and so I can make that change and then it's updated automatically everywhere in the project. Okay, elevation drawings are changed, floor plans are changed, schedules are changed, the whole deal. And it's all in one file. Okay. One thing to be aware of, if you have to edit a family, let's say for example we want to change the color of these doors, and I'm not going to get into editing families right now, but you would go edit family, unless, over here you can add some colors right here and it's in your project. So if you're dealing with properties, it's in your project. If you go edit family, it's your database, it's your library that you're changing. So anytime you go to edit a family, you want to duplicate it and then rename it so that you're not messing up your catalog. Okay, and then often, if I'm in a project, let's say I want to, I don't know, say we need a 48-inch door. Okay, I would come in here to edit type, and there's ways to do it, but often you would duplicate it here also and create that. So you don't want to mess up your database. That's what I'm saying. Okay, when it comes to modeling, how much are you going to model? Now, this will vary depending upon where you work, and it will vary depending upon what type of project or what the owner wants. Are you modeling for construction drawings? And if that's the case, you're going to keep things relatively simple. Colors don't matter. Okay, you may not need to model trim. You don't need to apply paint to the walls or carpet to the floors or things like that. Okay, so it's what is the purpose for your model? That's what I want you to think about. And because a lot of those things like carpet, base trim, crown molding, window trim, those things can be added as a 2D detail in a view where it's needed, but it's not in the entire project. Okay. On the other hand, if your company is going to create renderings or graphics, you want, nice color photographs of your project or a video walkthrough or something like that, then yes, you're going to go more detailed into your modeling so that it shows what it looks like in real life. There's a trade-off, and the simpler you can keep it, the smaller your file will be and the easier life will be. When you start getting into those kinds of photorealistic stuff, things get complicated and big pretty quickly. Okay, enough of that. Now, I've given you this little project. It's called Move, Copy, Rotate. And you download it and open it up here and follow along with me. And when yes, you can move things and copy things. You can do a lot of these things in 3D. You will find it easier to do it in 2D, in a level or an elevation, because it limits you to two directions, left, right, up or down. Okay, as opposed to here, you've got three directions that you're dealing with. Okay, so it's easier in a 2D environment. Also, components that you place into a project are hosted on something. And it depends on how the family is built. So like walls and doors have to be placed in a wall. You cannot place them in a space where there is no wall, because it's the way that that family is created. And once again, we'll deal with families later in the course. Some things are floor hosted, like a lot of furniture. If you don't have a floor in your project, you can't place the furniture because it sits on the floor. Not all furniture is that way, but a lot of them are. And when I clicked on this desk right here, I can see it's on level 1 and it's hosted on this floor. Okay, so that tells me that that is a floor hosted element. I moved it, but it's still at floor level. I can't move it vertically because it's hosted on a floor. Okay. Okay, so same thing. Things like lights, a lot of light fixtures are either going to be ceiling mounted or wall mounted. So when you go to move things, you got to take into consideration if it won't move, then it's hosted on something. So let's go to level 1 here. You can make it shaded if you want, if it helps you, but everything's gray, so I'm just going to keep it at hidden line. And if I want to move this desk, I can click it, and then depending upon where my cursor is in it, I get that little 4 arrow thing, and then I can just click and drag it. Okay, I can click on the dimension here. Okay, and let's say, I don't know, 7 feet. Okay, so I can do those things. If I just select it, and if I go to the move command, that changes things. It changes things here in my options. And so if, let's say this thing had a dimension or it was constrained against the wall, I can disjoint it, and that means I can move it without those other things. If I constrain it, now I can only move it. So I can't move it at an angle. I can only move it horizontally or vertically. Okay, that's the constrain button there. So let's look at this window. Let's say I want to move this window. So I can click it and I can drag it along the wall, no problem. I could go to the move command, and its constraint is there because that's what I clicked last. But if I go disjoin, it means I can move this window out of this wall and place it in another wall. There. I must have clicked outside of the wall when I did that. So that was with the disjoin option, because the window is hosted in the wall. And so I can't move it with that not clicked. I couldn't move it over to a new see, it wouldn't move down to this other wall here. Anyway, so that's that part of the move command. If I want to copy Here's my copy command. And you notice the keyboard shortcut there is CO. So same way in Revit has a lot of keyboard shortcuts, just like AutoCAD did. So move is MV, copy is CO. You can just type those on the keyboard. Okay, so I'm going to start the copy command. And this was already selected. So the first thing I want to do is, if you read down here in the bottom left, it tells me click on a move start point. Why did it ask for move? Okay, all right. And so I clicked on the first corner of the desk, and with the command active, I can place multiple things, because right here, multiple was checked. Okay, I should have mentioned that earlier. If I had constraint checked, it would limit me to left, right, up or down. Okay. If I wanted to, let's say I want to move these two desks, so I could do a bounding box to select both of them and then move them. Okay. Or I could select one, or I could start my move command. I go modify move, select a desk, and then hold down my control button and click another one. So it gives me that plus sign. And let's say I don't want to move this one. So I can hold down my shift key and it gives me a minus sign and it deselects it. And if you read your little help information across the bottom, it tells you that. Now I've got them all selected, so I can hit enter or the space bar, and that ends my selection. Now I can do the whole move thing. Okay. Now, one other thing, and this works both, and that works, this, I'm going to move with control key, and let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go in here, move, and I'm going to hold down the control key and click that point, and I'm keeping the control key down while I'm moving. And what it does is it creates a copy. Okay. And the same way, if I do the copy command and I select that, and I'm going to hold down the control key, I had to hit enter to do that. Now I'm going to go control. And so basically I moved it instead of creating a copy. Okay. So move with control creates a copy while you're moving. Copy with control just moves it. So if you're in the command, you don't have to exit out of command to go back and do something else. Now let's look at rotate. Now I'm going to get a couple of these things out of here. So if I wanted to rotate this, I can rotate this object because it's floor hosted, and it will rotate about an axis on the floor. I cannot rotate doors or windows without rotating the wall that it is in. Most things you can only rotate in a 2D environment, whether it's a plan view or an elevation view. It gets really complicated trying to rotate in 3D. So I've selected it. I'm going to go up here and go my rotate command. And it gives me a little blue dot there. That's the center or the axis of my rotation. If I wanted to change that to a different, maybe I don't want the center. Maybe I want to choose the corner to be my center of rotation. Okay. And then it just moves that. Okay. Now, this line it's called like the first ray of rotation, means it determines your starting point for the rotation. And if you notice, there are snaps at 90 degrees, okay? So if I click here and start my rotate, I can type in the angles that I want, or I can drag it reading. Let's say I want to rotate it 45 degrees. I could click it, or I could type in 45 and hit enter. Okay. Easy peasy, huh? Let's look at this again. Now, if I were to come up here, same as before, I could do disjoint. If it's something that's constrained to there or dimension, I could create a copy while I'm rotating. I can change the rotation place, or I can just type in the angle here, what I want to rotate it. And I don't have to, if I know what the angle is, I don't have to do any of those things. One thing to consider is what is front and what is back in your objects when you go to placing them and rotating them. All right. Well, that covers move, copy, and rotate. Some of the basic things that you're going to be dealing with as we're doing some building stuff. Okay, on to the next video.